You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. The Saints are going to kick off the Dennis Allen era against their most bitter rival on the road. Saints are a 5.5-point favorite in the ball game. I don't love starting the season on the road against a division rival. I think that is generally speaking, a tough draw. This is a very odd year in the NFL where there are 10 road favorites in week one. That is a record. 10 road favorites in week one in the NFL. Never happened before. And maybe that's a commentary on parity around the league, or maybe that's just a weird fluke that's just how the league schedule worked out this year, whatever it may be. The Saints are favored in this game. And the last time they played was at the end of last season, was January the 9th. And the Saints beat the Falcons 30-20, beat them by 10 at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. But the teams that will be on the field on Sunday are drastically different from the teams we saw a year ago in Atlanta, obviously. Most notably, there is no more Sean Payton. The Sean Payton era in New Orleans, the greatest era in the history of New Orleans Saints football, is now officially over. Drew Brees a season ago, and now Sean Payton exiting stage left. It is a new era of football, as much as they've tried to maintain the continuity with Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael, and they may succeed in a lot of respects, but it is still a different head coach on the headset deciding game flow. There's a lot of things about Sean Payton that were magnificent, like when to be crazy and wild. We talk about ambush all the time. We talk about fakes, and he knew a lot of times when to dial that up, and sometimes he was reckless. Sean Payton had one of the worst challenge success rates in the NFL because a lot of times, as I would say, he acted like a pissed-off teenager. He didn't like, oh, just throw the challenge flag, even if there wasn't evidence to back up or validate throwing the challenge flag and challenging a call. Dennis Allen was perfect on his challenges in the preseason. That might be something we see as a noticeable difference. For what it's worth, when Alvin Kamara met with reporters, he was asked if they expected to see any type of drop-off from Sean Payton to Dennis Allen.
It's cool. It's the same. I mean, I like DA. I mean, as a player, obviously I'm on the other side of the ball, but, since I've been here, DA been cool. I think he about his business, straightforward. I mean, he demands every day out of his guys, like, the utmost, work, drive, push, like, grit, everything. He demands that every day. So I think with him being the head coach, it's no drop-off. It's not really any change. I mean, a couple scheduling things, but other than that, I think it's like we ain't miss a beat, really, I think, with DA at the head.
Arguably the Saints' most successful game a year ago was the game against Tampa on Sunday night without Sean Payton, when Dennis Allen took the reins and they won that 9-0 pitch to shutout. Defensively, I don't expect the Saints to miss a beat. I think the Saints defensively are going to be exactly what they have been, if not better, especially if they manage to get Marcus Davenport for an entire season. Big if. We'll see Peyton Turner really for the first extensive action of his career. And while Tyrann Mathieu is questionable for this game because of illness, I believe he and Marcus May make a very good safety tandem. They've drafted Alontae Taylor. It's going to look a little different, but I do think the Saints defense will continue to be among the elite, among the top 10 in every statistical category defensively, and probably a top 5 overall defense in the league. So when you put that defense against this Atlanta offense, that really is the game. That's the game. Well, we'll talk about the Saints offense in a second, but that's the game. Matt Ryan, we talked about who's not there for the Saints. Matt Ryan's not there for the Falcons anymore. For the first time since 2007, you're going to see somebody different under center for the Atlanta Falcons. And Matt Ryan was the best player in the history of that organization. And you go from Matt Ryan to Marcus Mariota, who hasn't been a full-time starting quarterback since 2018. And Calvin Ridley suspended for the entire season. Julio Jones left a year ago, obviously, when he went to Tennessee, and now he's down in Tampa. Russell Gage this offseason signed with Tampa. Yesterday, we ran through the receivers for the Atlanta Falcons, and the only reason that you would know any of these guys' names is a guy like Brian Edwards, who played collegiately at South Carolina, so you might recognize it because of that. I mean, Damiere Byrd's another name that you may recognize because he played at South Carolina. Other than that, there's not really a lot of reason to recognize any of these guys. And Kadarrell Hodge from Prairie View A&M. They got a receiver from Ferris State who you've never heard of. They drafted Drake London out of USC, but he's questionable. So Marcus Mariota has not been a regular starting quarterback in the NFL since 2018. He was the former number 2 overall pick who lost his job in Tennessee. He was backing up Carr in Las Vegas the last 2 years. And now he's running the show again in Atlanta, but there's just a total void of weapons. It's going to be very hard to see Atlanta moving the ball in this game. Their best bet is to hope that the Saints offense does sputter, that the Saints offense isn't what it has been. And last year, the Saints offense was objectively very bad, but they also didn't have a healthy Jameis Winston. They didn't have Michael Thomas all season. They didn't have Jarvis Landry or Chris Olave. They missed Alvin Kamara for time. 4 starters on the offensive line missed time. We all know the story. Well, all of those guys now are healthy, and Pete Carmichael is calling the plays. Pete Carmichael did talk to reporters on Thursday about the game plan process without Sean Payton there.
I would say for the most part, it's what I've been a part of for the last however many 16 years. And then, Dennis has made a few adjustments to the schedule, but nothing that would be out of the ordinary as far as just offensive game planning. We pretty much on the same schedule, same track, and just a few tweaks here or there, but nothing major.
Pete Carmichael was the primary play caller for New Orleans in 3 seasons, including 2012 when Sean Payton was not there. And in that year, they were second in the NFL in offense. So Pete Carmichael has been a primary play caller and has done so all 3 seasons that he was a primary play caller. The worst the Saints finished in total offense was 6th. They were 2nd, 3rd, and 6th. So I don't worry about Pete Carmichael's ability to call plays. The one real question is if Jameis Winston is ready to ascend to elite superstar status. And I believe, as you all know, because I've been talking about this for 3 years, that he is. That he humbled himself. He learned from Drew Brees. He showed in the first 7 games a year ago that he was willing to correct the mistakes, to purge the turnovers out of him. And now you give him the weapons he has. He is going to, for the first time in his career, be running an offense that has incredible weapons around him, a coach that has nurtured him, and he, at this point in his career, is mature enough and ready to go lead a great offense. I'm not going to tell you week 1 here that I think the Saints are a Super Bowl team, but Jameis Winston's development ultimately will be a determining factor in what the Saints achieve this year. He has to stay healthy and play at a high level. If he does, the Saints can win the division, and they can win the NFC. They have enough talent on both sides of the ball to do that if Jameis answers that to the affirmative. And considering Atlanta is not going to have Deion Jones on the field, I feel much better about going against that defense with no Deion Jones, who has been a Saints killer over the years. The last time the Saints played in Atlanta, it was a 30-20 score. I'm picking the exact same score. I'm picking Saints 30-20 over Atlanta in Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Sunday. I think the Saints win. I think they cover. I think they get off to a 1-0 start. And then we all turn our attention to Tampa coming to the Dome in week 2 to see Tom Brady, his final trip to the Superdome in the regular season, potentially, and how that may all play out. But I do like the Saints to win and to cover in Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Sunday, and the Saints to get off to a 1-0 start of the Dennis Allen era. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.